We are live and soccer season has started.
Yes, but there will be no soccer here because this is America and we don't care about soccer.
We care sometimes during the World Cup.
Yes.
A little bit.
Mm.
But not like NFL care. I have so many comics tonight
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because I got 11 comics. I might make that 12 comics this week. 11 at the comic shop, 1 in the mail. And then I don't even know how many I've got. I put in an order at mycomicshop.com on Sunday, and they came today. I just put up a haul list right before a haul video right before this, where I think it was first Saturday of August. I always throw a barbecue near my birthday. That way, when people ask me, "What are you doing for your birthday?" At least I have an answer. But especially after not just after I throw, but when I go to not that there's many parties anymore as old as I am. But I always have like the next like throw the barbecue was on Saturday. Then Sundays I'm sitting there, going, every day's not a party. I get this like what I call every day is not a party melancholy that I get after fun parties. So I was sitting around this Sunday morning and I said, you know what? I'm finally gonna order a bunch of those comics that are on my mycomicshop.com want list, which are all just, they're like $2.50 a comic. I'll show you what they are in a minute. But I was just like, they've been there for like a year or two. I'm finally like, you know what? I'm finally gonna order them. It costs like $100 I spent. That's with it was like $76 of comics at like $2.50 a piece, and then $25 in shipping and tax. It's always the problem, the shipping. But there is an Olympic tie-in in a comic I did not get, but I thought I ordered.
Yeah.
When the Olympics started, there was a big brouhaha by conservatives over here in the US of A because they thought the French were mocking Christians with their opening. I don't know if you were aware of that. What was that?
They were. The advertising for the pre-show was that they were going to mock Christianity. They only changed the next day that it was about Greek Bacchanalia after they lost a $2 million sponsor.
But anyway, during that silly bit of controversy, it was you familiar with Mark Brooks, the cover artist? I think he does. Good evening, Comic Crack.
Hey.
I think he does interiors too. But he was like, "Oh, here's my version of The Last Supper." So it was like for one of the X-Men #1s a couple of years ago, he did like an X-Men version of The Last Supper. And I thought it was pretty good. I was like, "Oh, I like that one. Let me see. Let me see if it's at mycomicshop.com with the rest of my want list." And I saw it. It was like cover price was like $6, and that's how much it costs. I'm like, "Oh, I'll put that on my list." And I thought I ordered it with the rest of the stuff, but apparently I didn't because it didn't show up. It's not on the pull list. They didn't charge me for it. But when I went back to my want list, it's gone from there too. And I'm like, what happened to it? No X-Men Last Supper for, I guess it was too sinful. Someone didn't want me to have it. But that was just and I was looking for it. I'm like, how come it just disappeared? And I just never ordered it somehow, along with the other stuff. I just found that really weird. When you're looking in your order for something you thought you ordered, and it's just not there. Hello, mighty comic scholars. Hello there, Sleepy. 62 left. Thought the French always said your mother was a hamster and your father smelled of elderberries. Of course. Why do you think I have this outrageous accent? Correct.
The outrageous accent.
But I haven't read these yet. Got a couple of things for my birthday too. I got the Tom Scioli, Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics.
Yes, where Kirby is drawn as a chibi.
Yeah, and they yellowed the pages for us. But they actually, when I was reading that, according to Jack Kirby book, they actually recommended this. They said it was pretty good. So the writer. So I was like, you know what? I'm kind of interested in that. So I put it on my want list, and my sister got it for me for my birthday.
Yeah, there's also a book about Stan Lee.
I'm less interested in that.
Yeah. Well, it starts with the first page is Stan putting on the wig.
He doesn't like the way Scioli draws Kirby at all. He doesn't like chibi Kirby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's got a very good Kirby style. He does Kirby pastiche very well.
I wouldn't say he does it very well. I say he does it because when I was reading Godland, where Scioli drew, I was like, I don't think he gets why Kirby does some of the things he does.
I noticed that even though he was doing Kirby aesthetics, the layout started morphing into Ditko very fast.
Yeah, it's like Kirby has certain things, and there's a reason he does them, and the reason is because he's been drawing comics for 40 years. And like Scioli would kind of copy some of the stuff, but not quite get it. I mean, I still liked Godland, but I always found it odd sometimes. I'd be like, wow, he just doesn't get why Kirby did that, does he? Crack. He's got under Vaca's hard looks. Both the Kirby and Stan books are solid. Well, I'll find out about the Kirby one.
Yeah, if you hit somebody in the head with it, it'll certainly be solid.
Sleepy says Godland was oddly flat. That's because, like I said, I don't think he quite understood what Kirby was doing.
No, Godland was oddly flat, just like the Eternals.
I like the Eternals, the cosmic powered Hulk.
Yeah, me too. I like the Eternals.
Damien, don't you like American Barbarian? It has grown on you. But yeah, that's one of them I got. And let's see, the other book I got for my birthday, my friend Ed gave me this. It's Dreadstar versus the Inevitable.
Ah, yes, one of the new graphic novels that's not quite. When you come back to something you did 30 years ago and it doesn't look the same, doesn't feel the same, well, that's it.
Yeah, he said this is the latest Kickstarter.
Because those things are good when they come out, and while you may appreciate them, appreciate their quality decades later, you know that the theme is not done for your times, for the times that you're in. It was done for the times that it was made in.
And it came with a bunch of postcards and stuff, which I guess was part of the Kickstarter. So I stuck the envelope to the book with these photo corners, except I made it a little too tight and I can't really get them out easily. But I'm like, I don't really care much for the postcards anyway, but they're not going anywhere, let me tell you. Because I opened the book and they fell out. And I said, I can't have that. So I got out my giant photo. I have little tiny photo corners and giant photo corners. So I use the giant photo corners for this.
You know what's the weirdest thing about Dreadstar? It's when Starlin decides that it doesn't want to do more stories and gives the book to Peter David.
I have not read Dreadstar in a long time because I liked, what were the original ones? I liked Metamorphosis Odyssey.
Yeah.
I liked The Price. And then I might have bought 10 or 12 issues of the first run of Dreadstar and then fell off it because it was this sort of weird sci-fi thing. But then when it got to be the regular series, it was just kind of a superhero story.
Yeah, but I don't think that's. I think that Starlin was either reacting or overreacting. It was not the commercial success that either he or editor Al Milgram were hoping for.
Yeah.
And so they started adding more superhero tropes,
Right.
or hoping that readers would take notice.
And that's what lost me.
Yeah, I get it.
Sleepy, I did enjoy Barbarian Lefty. I also liked Godland. The Godland art was flat as the writing in Eternals, I guess.
That's a very fair comparison. Yes.
Happy birthday, Jared. Thank you, Comic Crack. It's my birthday on Wednesday.
Wilson, is your computer working? No.
Is he moving?
Can you hear me?
There, we just heard them.
There we are. We just heard you, yeah.
Okay. Is the computer is working now? Is the internet that's the problem? And I've got an alert on the phone, so weather's not good today either. We're getting the remnants of the hurricane, I guess. And some people that I know in Pennsylvania, they're on tornado watches.
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania?
Shouldn't New York City have the best internet on the planet?
No, because it's full of people. No, it's because it's full of people. I think that the best internet in New York State should probably be in Syracuse.
SU, he's dick. I don't know what that means.
New York is a great city. It would be better without all the people.
Back in the, when was it? Early 90s, I had a friend who went up to visit another friend up at Syracuse University. And all weekend, everybody was saying, SU, cheese dick. And that's all he took back from Syracuse. What's that saying? I guess that was their cheer.
They do have the New York State Fair up there, and they used to have car races there.
It's a volume 2.
Yeah, I think there was another graphic novel before that one.
Wow, there is a $40 price tag on this thing.
Yeah, that thing's not worth $40.
No, I would say not. My friend Ed likes to support Kickstarters and support the artists. Sometimes I think he gets something, and if he doesn't want to keep it, he's like, "Here, Jared, have a gift." Like, sure.
Is that the one that came with the card set? Because I worked on that set.
It came with a bunch of postcards, which I stuck. There came in this envelope a bunch of postcards, and I stuck it in with these photo corners, and now I can't get it out. I stuck it in so tight. I'll see if I can get it out. We'll see if these are. There we go. Let's see if Wilson recognizes these postcards. Or whatever card. There's a lot of stuff in here. Oh, there's bookmarks. First, we got bookmarks.
Mm-hmm.
Monkey Wrench Press. Then we got postcards. Dreadstar versus Dreadstar, it says on the back.
Yeah, that's his daughter from the Malibu miniseries.
Skivu.
Yeah.
Lord High Papal.
Yeah, that's his Thanos for the story.
Van Dreadstar.
Yes, Dreadstar is a first name.
Odie.
Mm-hmm. But here is a cat, not a dog.
Syzygy Darklock.
Syzygy Darklock.
Syzygy Darklock.
Syzygy, yeah.
And Willow.
Mm-hmm.
And in the back, there's some sort of helping thing. Did you work on these ones, Wilson? Do you recognize it?
No, not at all. I recognize the artwork, and I know what covers some of them came from, But no, I worked on a small Dreadstar set where I guess they were just for the cards. It was a card set that was done through Dynamite Entertainment.
Nice stuff. Hey, comic nerds, Missing Mars on his ex's PC.
Did you get the PC on the divorce settlement?
Hi, Mars. Sleepy, what up? And I have to show you my new way. Which is not good. I kind of came up with a while ago, but I haven't done it. My new way of boarding wraparound covers, because as I've said before, I don't use backing boards very much because I'm before the era of backing boards. I bag all my comics, but I don't use backing boards on many of them. But I use backing boards on sort of my older comics, maybe, or else comics I handle a lot. Like my section that says that's for comics I bought for their covers. I usually put backing boards on them because I like to go over and pull a bunch of them out and look through them, and they're easier to handle with backing boards. So now what I was doing, since I got this Scott Koblish. Here, we'll show you to you big. This is the first one that I missed in the store. So I went, at first I thought I was really overpaying for it because it cost me $15 on eBay. And I was like, whoa, $15. But it turns out the base price is $10. So it was only, base price plus $5 shipping, which is about what I expect on eBay. But what I do, because what it is with like wraparound covers, I want to just look at it in the bag. I don't want to pull it out of the bag and look at it because that's too much effort. So what I ended up doing was, this is just a regular backing board. And I grabbed my gridded ruler, my X-Acto knife, and I trim off about 1/8 of an inch from the backing board. And then I find the center of the comic and drop the backing board in the center. And then put it in the comic. Now, I wouldn't do this with any of your valuable comics, because it doesn't protect these corners as much anymore. But it's good for looking at. I gotta say, I looked at this a lot more just because I could see the back. Like, just as I had them sitting here this week, I would stop and look at it, which I wasn't doing when the back was covered. Hey, it's the birthday boy and his two compadres. Yes, it is. So I ended up getting this one off of eBay. Like I said, this is the one I missed in the store because I didn't pre-order it, and they couldn't reorder it. And then I also got this week's one, which is Uncanny X-Men #1. Once again, it's another. I'm just enjoying these Scott Koblish covers. He's got, I think altogether, there's like 600 X-Men on the 4 or 5 books. I just find them a lot of fun. Comics I buy just for their covers here. But I actually read them too. I'm looking forward to the cucumber birthday cake. Happy birthday, Jared. Thank you, from Missing Mars. Yeah, I had a good birthday. Had my barbecue on Saturday, and my sister had me up for my birthday on Wednesday, my actual birthday. So it was a good time. But this is the one that came out this week. It's X-Men #1. And this one was the most sort of like an X-Men comic. Because, well, maybe I should start with this one, which also, I'll bring this one in later. This one is the end to the Krakatoa story. And Jared, I take that you didn't see Venom #1 Chris G. Russo at your I did not see it at my LCS because I missed it on Final Order Cutoff. I was able to order issue 2 on Final Order Cutoff, and I actually just ordered Chris's Venom War variant off of eBay this week. I think I ordered it maybe Wednesday, so you'll probably see that next week. But I had to, pay cover price plus $5 shipping because I just didn't see it on Final Order Cutoff. But I got issue 2 on Final Order Cutoff, and I'll add the other ones on. But yeah, I missed it. My LCS didn't get any copies of the Chris Russo variant. But I don't know if you guys have been Paolo, have you read any of the...
No, and I have zero interest.
Well, what's interesting is this also came out this week.
Mm-hmm.
Power Fantasy by Kieran Gillen, the writer, and Casper Wingard, the artist. And there's kind of a bit of overlap between these two. And Kieran Gillen was one of the writers on this. And in this one, the first thing we get is a discussion between Magneto and Professor X on the moral implications of what they were trying to do in Krakoa. And it's like every other Professor X and Magneto moral implications conversation you've ever read. So that was just like, eh. And then why this is double-sized is because they had a big fight scene and they had different artists draw splash pages of the fight scene. Like there's a Walter Simonson splash in there, I noticed, and a few others. But it basically comes down to Krakoa is the island that it's a mutant, right? Yep. Which, when I was a kid, I thought that was dumb. As a grown-up, I think that's dumb. But anyway, Krakoa took some of the mutants and disappeared into an alternate dimension, and then just had to come back to meet the Krakoa of our dimension to do something. Meanwhile, all these mutants were living on Krakoa for 15 years in a matter of days on our end. So they've been trying to create this utopia on alternate dimension Krakoa, and they were doing a pretty good job of it. Then they came back here in case any mutants wanted to come back home or in case anyone wanted to leave with them. And they're like, all right, we're going back with alternate dimension Krakoa to our utopia. Then Apocalypse went, no, you won't, because I have to create utopia through violence. It's like, what? He had some philosophical reason for it. And then there was a whole big fight scene for half of it until he finally went, maybe I don't have to lead you guys through violence. Go ahead on your own. So then they all left. And Apocalypse was like, what do I do now? I don't know. Guess I'll walk the earth for a while. And meanwhile, I guess it was Charles Xavier's idea to create this mutant utopia on Krakoa, because now he's allowed himself to be arrested by the humans and thrown into super jail. But he put a post-hypnotic suggestion in Tony Stark and Mr. Fantastic Minds decades ago, in case they ever tried to lock him up, to not really lock him up. So it ends with Professor X appearing to be locked up, but not really being locked up. Dun, dun, dun! And then this one starts, this one is all about Gambit, Wolverine, and Rogue trying to figure out what they're going to do next, and going on It's sort of like an old-fashioned X-Men adventure. They end up fighting. I can't remember who they end up fighting, but this is more like an old-fashioned X-Men superhero story. So it was I bought them for the covers. I'm not buying any more issues, but they were okay. Let's see. And the new Marvel order book number 35 has a page of Chris Russo mini Marvels. Okay, Hulk Smash TPB. Chris might be on tonight, he said. I don't use backing boards at all. I already killed too many trees in the comics I've bought since 1995. Exactly. I just don't use them. Apocalypse and Krakoa Island have a story together. They're the first two mutants before. That's right. They were calling Krakoa the first mutant, or maybe they're calling Apocalypse that. I forget which. But yeah, they were.
They spent the last I don't know 5-7 years overthinking Krakoa. Krakoa was a MacGuffin.
Yeah, it was a goofy idea.
Yeah, I mean the Krakoa, the island that walks like a man. Okay, we're doing a riff on the old Kirby monsters. We get it.
Mm-hmm.
Next comic, Count Nefaria.
But somebody brought him back. Yeah. I enjoyed the Uncanny X-Men Puff comic. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. It was a solid, superhero comic. My friend Rob said he's been liking the X-Men the last few years, so he's going to continue buying it. But how this one ties in is interesting. Kieran Gillen was one of the writers on that last issue of X-Men. Here's some of the. I generally like these two. Here's some of the artwork for it. Where is some of the superhero?
Ooh, a character that smokes.
Yeah, character that smokes.
You did. Wait, no, Kieran Gillen is English.
But what it is one of the things, especially since I read this X-Men 35 after I read this one. And the overlap is in the Magneto and Xavier talking about the ethics of superherodom and what they should do. But it's kind of burdened with the entire history of the X-Men. That's what sometimes I read a like a Marvel or DC book and go, this would be a much better comic if it wasn't a Marvel or DC book. If these are all new characters and didn't have the burden of 50 years of history, it would probably be a better book. But that's just the nature of comics. So, like, I think Tom King's Mr. Miracle was one of them. It's like, if this wasn't Mr. Miracle, it would be a lot better. Let's see. Sleepy Reader says, I did not understand power fantasy at all. I thought it was living metaphors, then angels, then just random human-shaped monsters. I don't know. I don't even know where. I don't think it was a metaphor for anything, because what power fantasy comes down to is first we get a talk between. It takes place first in 1966 New York, and it's these two characters talking. And I think she is the most powerful superhero in the world. And he is another powerful superhero. And they're having a discussion about ethics. And what it comes down to is this guy is trying to convince her, because these are, I would say these like superheroes are like Omega powered mutants kind of thing. They're like the most powerful of the powerful. He refers to them as, 6 atomic bombs, or even more powerful than atomic bombs, because they can go over and over. But the discussion in the beginning was about, we have two ethical paths in front of us. Neither one of them is 100% ethical. And we will have to work really, really hard to be ethical taking these paths, but the any other paths will lead to the destruction of the human race. And the one path is they take over and create a one world government. These 5 or 6 superpowered guys take over and create a one world government to take care of everybody. And that path is fraught with danger, fraught with unethical stuff. And that's what their discussion is about in the first part of the book. She's like, no, I don't think we can do that path. And there's even discussions where, like, if he's like, well, if you don't agree with me, I know you're going to kill me right now. Please don't do that. That wouldn't be ethical. And so they agree to the path of balance, where they're going to take each sort of because the threats are the superheroes. They're the ones with the power to destroy everything. But the humans might provoke them, and the superheroes wouldn't be able to kind of stop them. They're not all ethical. So the path they choose is one of balance and containment, or something like that. Let me see if I can find their words. This takes over the world now. And like I said, they're really, really super powered. So now I know you're. Oh, she even like reads his mind to see his whole plan, because he's like, you need me for this plan, because he's super psychic too. So you reject plan A, plan B. It is the balancing act. You'd rather be a shepherd than a queen. So that's what they're going to try to do. Shepherd humanity. I'll be a shepherd too. When we can't ever come to blows, no more than human nuclear states can. Yeah, the superpowers can't fight. No one would survive. So that's their path of balance. And then it switches to 1999 New York. There's that caption. And so it's, 33 years later. And all of a sudden, this guy, who's sort of a bit of a rogue superpower, comes in, and he's like, I'm heading to New York just to chill out. And he's got this super ship. And they're like, the Americans won't like it if you park your super ship over New York. That they might see that as an act of war. And the guy's trying, once again, he's trying for balance. He's trying to calm him down. Sleepy say, you knew right away they were superheroes? I found it to be so out of context, I had no idea what they were talking about. And talking is the whole long issue. But the art and color was one. Yeah, I knew right away they were superheroes. I find it weird that you didn't. I immediately thought they were superheroes because they were talking about superpowers. I don't know why I knew right away they were superheroes. It just never occurred to me they weren't. So anyway, this superpowered guy comes. He's like, I'm gonna park my ship over New York City, just as a show of power. And he's like, if they don't let me, I'm gonna blow up Texas. I don't know how Texas got into this, but they did. So then anyhow, we get a super satellite tries to blow them up. So this is a strike from a satellite, obviously a government strike. And he goes, what is that? They tried to kill Heavy. I guess that's his name, Heavy. And she goes, tried? And he just that's him reformed. So they hit him with this superpowered laser, but he just reforms himself. And now
how Akira of them.
What was that?
That's very Akira, the giant laser in the sky trying to destroy.
And so now after that, the rest of this issue is our guy, the balancing act guy, trying to negotiate with Heavy not to get physical. So in the negotiation, Heavy says, okay, if you want me not to retaliate, well, the president of the U.S. is dead immediately. He's like, you got to kill him. So he kills him. Then he's like, I want to kill everyone in the war room. So the psychic guy, the guy who's the balance, can, I guess, just kill them all with his mind. That's how powerful he is. He just has to think it, and it happens. So that he then kills everyone who was in the war room. Then he's like, and we've got to kill all their families. He's like, what? And Heavy's like, hey, they send everybody else's families to war without a second thought. I think their families should die. And the guy's like, all right, but like your family has to. What do you need to? He asked the question. What do you need to not throw Texas into orbit? What does it say? Everyone else in the war room, done. And anyone in government who knew, easy at least. Anyone? I took out the magicians in orbit, but they'll have support staff, scientists, and the rest. Wherever they are, they're gone. And all of the above's families. No. Don't be a wimp. Just direct family, spouse. It says, you know how it is. Everyone's happy to send other people's kids to war. Let me present a counterproposal. I'll take their families. If I can kill every member of your family I can find. They're your family too. You wouldn't. I absolutely would. In this situation, it's the ethical thing to do. Okay, we're done. I won't forget this. So he ends up, the balance guy ends up killing like everyone who knew about it, everyone, all of their families, and everybody in Heavy's family that he could find. It was just like, holy, that was the balance for this act of them attempting to kill Heavy and Heavy not retaliating. Then the balance guy is like, the real problem is I think one of us has been giving these humans the technology because that laser didn't come out of anywhere. And it ends with, is everyone safe now? There's 6 people with superpowers on the planet. Of course not. So this kind of ties in with Charles Xavier and Magneto's ethical discussion about how they should use their powers to help mutants. Except this guy is trying to negotiate 6 superpowered people how the world can live with them, because like all these superpowered people can like destroy half the world. So it was an interesting. They were talking about Russia and USA as superpowers, is how I read the opening section. I think they did like a definition of what are superpowers somewhere in here. Where is it? There was like 3, maybe it was at the end. Maybe it was in the X-Men book. There was like 3 definitions of superpower. One of them was the world, maybe it wasn't in that book. Maybe it should have been. Hold on, where? Nope. Somewhere I read something that had 3 definitions of superpowers. I thought it was in one of these books, but I can't find it. But Power Fantasy was an interesting first issue. I get the feeling there's going to be a lot of talking in it and discussion about what to do with superpowers. And they're rushing a second print into the shops. Compadre Ramos, did you pick up Chitira Mini? I think it might be more interesting than the Thundercats series. Solid script and decent art too. Sketchbot.
The Chitara series is actually on my pull list. And I was surprised in the first one. I didn't get to read it yet. I was surprised on the first one, and then I ended up getting the second issue. And then when I got the second issue, I realized, okay, they're not just giving me books for free. So I think what happened is when I first subscribed to Thundercats, and I mentioned it before, I do not like the website for Midtown Comics. I find it a little bit of a hassle to navigate. And I think when I was looking for Thundercats, I must have clicked on putting Chitara on my pull list when I meant to click on regular Thundercats. And I did eventually click on regular Thundercats. So Chitara is on my list, and when I picked it up, I realized, okay, I'm going to have to give it a read since I'm getting it anyway.
You may as well read it.
I might as well read it, and I have not read it yet. But I like what he said about it, so I will definitely give it a try. I do like the artwork in it. I find it's a little better than Thundercats proper, but I haven't really got into it yet. So, but I have the first issue. I have to dig it up. It's in one of my piles here, and I was planning to read them this weekend. I did pick up books on Wednesday. I just have not read them yet.
And hello, Mind the Comics. And Sleepy Reader, now that you know that Power Fantasy is about superheroes, I think Power Fantasy name may have given away to me too. You have to go back and read it. Because people always say superheroes are adolescent male power fantasies. So I think that phrase is just in my head. That's why I didn't even think it was not superheroes.
And I was going to say that the artwork doesn't look like typical superhero, but typical superhero is not really a thing anymore.
Wow.
Most current artists don't know how to draw superheroes, so actually good artists don't care how they draw the superheroes when they have to.
Both of the X-Men were pretty well drawn. They were fine. Nothing to complain about. I can't even remember. Like I said, this X-Men... Hold on, let me show you this one again. I think what it was when we get to the fight scene, all of a sudden we have a bunch of different artists. Like there were some were doing 2-page spreads. There's this one over here is Walter Simonson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who this is on the other side. That looks like J.R. Jr.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know who this. But like I said, they were doing two-page spreads each, and it was working. It worked pretty well for a fight scene. The style differences weren't too jarring in between. I think that guy did 5 pages maybe. So it was a pretty interesting little. There's a whole bunch of crit. That is a weird picture of Wolverine, though. I don't quite know what they were going for there. Maybe a little The Shining, but it was just strange looking. Hello, Chuck. Oh, there's a list of artists that's pretty long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 artists are listed. So a lot of people were drawing that stuff. Like I said, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I wouldn't have bought it if it wasn't for the Scott Koblish cover, but it was a good read having it. And you made it to the comic shop this week, Wilson?
Yes, I did. I had a
God.
couple of books waiting for me. I don't think I picked up anything off the shelf. As a matter of fact, I did pick up something off the shelf. I picked up Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives from Boom Studios. Is it Boom? No, it's Skybound. I've been enjoying these books.
Okay.
This is going back to the Universal Monsters.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
So I've been enjoying it. I have not read this issue yet, but here's some artwork.
Here's Logan. Yeah, that's kind of the.
That's what that scene really looked like. And they had some multiple covers, but I grabbed just the regular one off the shelf.
And I guess this comment is for that mini you were just showing, that the only dumb thing is the Johnny Quest preview right at page 6.
Yes, they've been putting, since they're doing Johnny Quest and Space Ghost, they've been having some. Let's see, page 6. He says, they say 1, 2.
Yep, and he says the script is done by one of the cover artists
4,
of the main
5,
series. Okay.
6. Oh, this one doesn't seem to have the preview, or maybe it's in the back of the. No, this particular issue doesn't seem to have it.
Maybe it
I
was
know it
last
had
month.
in the first issue.
Yeah, maybe it was all last. Oh, matter of fact, I think I didn't even look. The X-Men #1 had one of these QR codes on the last page. So if you want to go read one page of X-Men, scan that. I didn't bother. Let's see, who did this one? I think Gail Simone wrote it. Yeah, Gail Simone. David Marquez is the artist. Color artist is Matthew Wilson. VC's Clayton Cowles is the letterer. It was a solid X-Men comic. You know what's interesting? I just remembered this now. When I first started reading it, I kept checking it to see if it was glossy or the usual glossy paper, which it is, as you can see by the gloss shining. But the artist put like or the colorist put sort of a very fine texture, matte sort of texture over it. So it actually looks a bit like matte paper, even though it's glossy. You can see it a little bit in this watercolor effect on Wolverine's face. You can see some texture there. But it's even like in these white areas seem to have a little bit of texture to them. You know, there's not a lot, just enough to sort of make it look like the paper isn't super glossy. It's an interesting thing I haven't noticed before. I mean, I've seen plenty of colorists use plenty of textures, but not in a way that makes the glossy paper look matte.
Huh.
Wonder if Chris is going to show up tonight.
Said he was.
To show us his Venom cover.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we'll have to wait till next week to see mine.
I didn't see it when I was in the comic book shop because I wasn't sure exactly which book it was. And
Venom War.
The other book, actually, I don't even think I saw the actual issue on the shelf.
That's because it's down under V, way in the bottom.
Well, I recall looking for it. I must have got distracted by something else because, like when I saw your comic book haul, I didn't see that Archie book. I would have picked that up.
Yeah, that wasn't on the shelf.
Right. And there was like a couple of books that I saw that I didn't pick up, like the ROM Space Knight had a blank cover, and I couldn't find any more of the DC covers that were the Carlos Lopez covers. So it's like, oh, okay. But I did pick up what was waiting for me the week before was Amazing Spider-Man 54, where we have the Spider Goblin looks like he's fighting the regular Goblin. I have no idea what the story is going on inside, other than that I know that Norman helped Spidey become the Spider Goblin.
Huh. And SBPT is praising David Marquez, the artist at Uncanny, is an amazing artist. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Enjoyed his work on that issue.
I thought I grabbed Uncanny. I must have looked at it, but did not take it off the shelf.
Did you see
As
any
I'm
of
looking
the
at the book.
Scott Koblish covers on in the shop?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yes.
glad they have them.
So yeah, Midtown Comic had a lot of the alternate X-Men covers. They
Okay,
had quite a few by the looks of it.
and the Archie one he just mentioned, I picked up just for its cover. Archie's doing facsimiles now. And they're doing this classic double entendre cover. Archie, did you have any trouble rescuing me? I sure did, Betty. I had to beat off 3 other guys.
I was in Grotto's stream yesterday, and Grotto is a hard man to convince that Archie was not doing it on purpose. Because of course they were doing it on purpose. It's not the only thing that they did that year. And I don't read Archie, and even I know. There are too many examples of classic Archie comics with Dan DiCarlo art where they're purposely messing about with language.
Yep. And once again, I'll tell the story John Romita said when I cannot remember the artist he was talking to, but he was telling us about Seduction of the Innocent. And there's a section of Seduction of the Innocent called Pictures for Children who Know How to Look, where they would find hidden penises in the artwork, or where they'd say, look, they're hiding all this sexual stuff in the artwork, whatever it is. And John Romita said for years, he said, they're crazy. They're just seeing stuff where it isn't. And one time he talked to one of those old time golden age artists, and he was like, nah, we used to hide stuff in there all the time. John Romita was like, for years I defended them. Turns out they were really doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with Romita. He started just before the code got into effect, so he never had the chance to work on anything racy. Before he went to Archie, Dan DiCarlo was Stan Lee's go-to guy to do anything that was supposedly funny. But Stan Lee also worked on another line of comics that Martin Goodman owned, which are collectively known as Humorama.
Yeah. Which
were those digests that had one-page gags. And those things were made of, well, they didn't quite reach soft porn levels, but they were the type of jokes that your mom would not let you hear when you were 10 if your crazy uncle was at the table.
I think some of this stuff, well, if not from Humorama, then from books just like it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a real. I love
that.
This
Yeah, that covers not Humorama. If it had that much amount of skin, Goodman would transfer it to Mail or Stag.
They're coming out with a new Dan DiCarlo book. I saw, but this is my old. That's my old standby. This the pinup art of Dan DiCarlo. I think there's a second volume too, but I never got it.
I may have the second volume, but I don't see it up here. Maybe in the other room.
SBPT, let's call Chris like Ernie and Bernie call fish. Chris.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys. I don't know in what year they came up with that Sesame Street gag. You may not have watched it.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one. I also picked up that Archie, but have yet to read. Yeah, I bought it just for the cover. I'll probably read it, but that was the one book I was in no hurry to read this week. So it's the one book I didn't read from my pull. I'm appalled. Archie, the paragon of horny innocence.
Yeah, it's outrageous, egregious, preposterous.
Tit Goblin says, I thought Roy Thomas co-invented Archie.
Yes, he did. Yes. And his name comes first.
Mm-hmm.
In the Puppets channel, the now every time that they read the credits when they do the readings, they say, "And who created this comic? Roy Thomas." And then they start humming the Leave It to Beaver theme tune.
Roy Thomas.
And who do we have to thank for this comic? Why, Roy Thomas, of course.
Roy Thomas.
I think Roy Thomas's current agent isn't he the same lawyer who represented the Siegel and Schuster's families?
I have no idea.
John Cimino?
That's his name. I don't know who. At least I've seen him all over social media.
Because even the thing about nobody was disputing that Siegel and Schuster were not exploited, that they were owed the money, but their lawyers seemed to glue himself to the whole lawsuit, like in an attempt to get into executive producer credit. Yeah, entertainment lawyers are not exactly the most ethical in the profession.
They're hard. It's hard to find one to hire too, is from what I heard from a friend of my cousin's who I talked to only a couple of occasions over the years. But she's the one who had a lawsuit against, I forget, Sony, I forget who, because she's the one who did the music on, she's a musician, on G.I. Joe and Transformers. And then in the 90s, when the DVD came out, she found herself not listed as doing the music, and so ended up having to inquire. And it turned out friends of the producer were listed as doing the music, so they were getting her royalties.
Okay.
And she ended up suing him, and it became a huge mess, because what happens is there are so few entertainment lawyers that you or I could hire, because the big entertainment companies hire them for a little job here or there, and then there's a conflict of interest so that you can't hire. So it's very hard to find an entertainment lawyer to sue a big company. That's what she learned trying to sue a big company.
Besides, when it comes to the use of musical compositions in cartoons, there's already not legislation. There was a previous lawsuit. A French guy who worked for Haim Saban, the cartoon producer. They created Jason and the Wheeled Warriors, Ulysses 31, Inspector Gadget. They did not credit you if you came up with music for background music or intermissions, and so you didn't get royalties. And the guy sued Shuki Levi and Haim Saban and lost. The judge ruled in favor of the studio.
Yeah, she, part of the musicians union in Hollywood, had all her paperwork, but it didn't matter. She could barely, it dragged on for a decade and a half before. Last I saw her, she's like, I'm just giving up. Because she found out her lawyer was really working for the other side.
Right.
After he represented her for a decade or something. It was just like... So she had enough of it. She's like, I was like, this is like a decade ago. I'm like, the only way you'll get your money is social media, if you shame them. That's the only way a lot of times to fight these big companies, is to shame them.
Yeah. That's how the guy from Hungary, whose music they ripped off to do the X-Men theme from the 90s. He went online and said, no, I did this in the 90s, and I have proof here, and you can watch it. And then they gave him money. Sony gave him money.
A lot of old men said a lot of crazy things in the media the last few weeks, says Tit Goblin. Fantagraphics has Innocence and Seduction, The Art of Don Descartes. That's what I was thinking out. In October, he has a lot of pinups. Yes. That's what I just saw announced from 62 Lefty Blues. Thank you. I couldn't remember. Innocence and Seduction, The Art of Dan DeCarlo. I'll have to look into it because I really like that pinup art of Dan DeCarlo book. Hi, James O'Barr. But yeah, I haven't gotten to read it yet, but there's a website that recently posted the whole history of that famous con in, when was it, 67, 69, where it was Roy Thomas who allegedly sold all that stolen art. There's a whole big write-up on it. Let me see if I can get it for you. I have it on my iPad, but I haven't gotten to read it yet. It's fourcolorsinners.com. As fans, we all knew the artwork was important, even if the professionals didn't. On the 1968-69 original art theft inside job updated. So I don't know who the blog's by. A closer look at the medium of comics to an unsentimental eye. But if you go to fourcolorsinners.com, you can find the article, which I've been meaning to read for a week now. But I've been busy reading comics.
I will definitely give that a read because I've, being the guy who did art returns for so many years, I'm fascinated by everything that had gone on over the years. Now, on the side note, I'm a sucker for reading and being entertained by heist movies and stuff like that. So I'm always fascinated by that in general.
Right. I like heist movies too.
But being someone who has gotten artwork stolen from them during their watch, I understand the frustration and the anger from artwork being stolen and stuff like that. So I'm fascinated by what happened in old Marvel, and as well as the art that over the years. And again, I say when people ask me about it, it's like there's so many rumors, there's so many tales, there's so many lies, and the weird thing about it is like everything you heard of is both true and not true, because their artwork was stolen, and other times it was really just a mismanagement of filing system and everything in between. That's just like amazing what happened to this artwork over the years. Even down to like there's some artwork that was there that was quote unquote lost, but it was put in the wrong envelope and the wrong item was written on it. And it's just amazing how it was not taken serious for way too long.
I'd show Wilson something I got for my birthday too. My friend Rob made. He didn't design it, he 3D printed it. So he's not a designer, but he's a 3D printer, which are kind of two different tasks. But look at this thing.
That is very cool.
It's got individual fingers. So it's got ball and socket joints. So of course it's all 3D printed in pieces. It's like not the whole thing. So each little, the thigh is one 3D print. The calf is another 3D print. The knee section is probably at least two 3D prints. So the foot looks like two 3D prints. So pretty cool.
That is very cool.
I forget who the designer is. He told me. But a lot of, 3D designers make these available for people who want to print them.
Yep.
Wow, each finger is 3 different digits. It's like, just like our ring. It's got 3 segments to each finger. So each one of those was probably 3D printed. Pretty cool toy.
Yeah, it's a very cool toy. It's a good size too. You could do some good photography with it also.
It's got some weight to it. My sister named it That Creepy Thing.
I'm gonna name it Vel. It looks like a Vel.
Yeah. Wild 3D printed robot you got there. Yeah. Sure thing, Missing Mars. Oh, here's a couple of things I printed. I printed them last week just to see how they'd come out. I decided, and I went to heritage auction sites because they have fairly high-res scans of all the stuff they're selling. So I wanted to see if I could upscale something and print it out. So here is an old, and clean it up and print it out. So here is an old Planet Comics, and it came out pretty well. So this is just a scan from the heritage site that I upscaled and then color corrected, which wasn't that hard to do. And I don't have an original to compare it to, but I think it came out all right. And the other thing I decided, since they had a higher res version of it, to try and upscale and print out is some Doctor Strange original art. Ditko, and this came out very well. His line isn't degraded at all.
Yeah, that's nice and clean.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out, if you notice it's yellow here. On this side, I fixed it all the way to white as it probably originally looked. But I think I kind of like the yellowing of the page. I'm not sure which side I like better. But I got to say, it came out pretty nice. That line is sharp. Because in the upscaling program I was using, there's an art setting. So it just got rid of any JPEG artifacting that was there. And it came out really nice. You can really see his line. So that's something I was printing. Graphic Man, printing classic comic and or pulp art. I'm glued to the screen. Yep. He does that too. But if you want to print Graphic Man, I don't know what programs you have, but take a look at Topaz Gigapixel AI. It's an upscaling program, which means it uses AI to make pictures bigger. So you can find like lower res, if something you only have a low res sample of, you can upscale to a high res sample pretty well. I have to say, I've been having a lot of fun using that. And the art setting on it works pretty well on comic art. Did you read anything this week, Paolo?
A couple of ROM stories.
ROM stories?
Yeah. Now, there are a few ROM stories where the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants show up.
Okay, that's one of the first times I bought ROM.
Which led me to believe at the time that Bill Mantlo was angling for X-Men should the title become available. The thing is, the Portuguese translation is more faithful to what the X-Men were than the original stories, because Mantlo was okay. Let's just say that the Brotherhood in particular, they did not sound like Mystique and Destiny. Mystique was going like, "I am evil." Are you? Why?
Is that a new issue of ROM, Wilson?
No, these are old issues of ROM.
Okay.
So Rom is one of those books when I would go to a comic convention and find them in the dollar bin, I would pick
Mm-hmm.
them up. I mostly like getting them when they're like Michael Golden covers.
Right.
Neither of these are Michael Golden covers, but every time I would see issues of Rom, I would pick them up. I do not know if I actually have the whole run. It's only about 75 issues,
Right.
but every few, I was going through some books. I was going through some boxes, and it's like I pulled up. I found some of the Rom issues. It's like, oh yeah, every now and then I would find them and pick them up for next to nothing because at the time nobody really cared about Rom.
Oh
So every
yeah.
time I would see an issue all over the place, I would end up picking up a few. So I've been going through some old boxes of stuff, and on my so this is the computer desk that I'm looking at, but the desk next to me is my art desk, and right now it's just full of comic books because I was tearing up some of the old comic boxes that I had because they were pretty old and they gave up the ghost. So I was tossing them away and then going through the comics, and it just happened to be a few Rom covers.
Rom number 9 with a beautiful golden cover, says Graphic Man.
Yeah.
Did he?
The golden covers are good, but sometimes I think people forget the Ed Hannigan ones
Oh, okay.
because they're pretty good. I mean, they're not outstanding, but they're they're descriptive. They're very descriptive, and they do the function that covers are supposed to do, which is to sell the comic. And Ed Hannigan knew how to do that.
Yes.
Did Frank Miller
agree with
draw
that.
those X-Men covers with Rom?
At least one of them.
I have a vague memory of that. And I think Golden did a Jack of Hearts cover with Rom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got rid of my ROMs many years ago, so I don't have them anymore. Let's see. Eric P. says last December, Marvel put out Rom and the X-Men, Marvel Tales number 1, which is Rom 17 to 18 and Rom 31 to 32. I think I remember seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Rom 17 or 18, I think, is the one with the Frank Miller cover.
Mm.
Yep.
If memory serves. I don't remember which one.
That's pretty. You recognize Frank Miller's immediately because it's the same way he drew Wolverine in the Wolverine miniseries.
Right. Rom 18 is definitely a Frank Miller cover.
Mm-hmm. Around issue number 40 something, Ian Aiken and Brian Garvey take over inking from Joe Sinnott.
Oh yeah.
And well, Joe Sinnott over Sal Buscema, it looks like standard. It makes it look like standard Marvel, but this was already going into the mid '80s, and you needed something different. And Ian Aiken and Brian Garvey do it very well because it happens in those issues where Rom goes to England and has a crossover with Master of Kung Fu, and there's a bit more of a fantasy feel to the stories. And Aiken and Garvey do that very well.
I remember liking their inking back in the 80s. I enjoyed
Here's
it when I
Master
saw them
of
on a
Kung
book.
Fu one, issue 39.
Master of Kung Fu. Is that a Gene Day cover?
It is.
Yeah.
It is a Gene Day cover.
He was good. I liked his covers.
Mm-hmm.
Liked
This
his
issue is
Master
called
of Kung
Dark
Fu.
Rise.
Eric P. says, looks like Miller did both 17 and 18. I just remember the one with like Rom standing and holding someone or something. A vague memory of it. I haven't seen it in a long time. Here's a weird first issue I got this week. The Pedestrian. Justice always has the right of way. And I'm not quite sure how to describe this one. It starts off with, it's got some nice artwork. Starts off with a mugging. And this guy just kind of punches the mugger and the mugger runs away. And then he just kind of power walks away. He's always power walking. That's what he's doing there. And then the mugger is upset because he lost his wallet. He's like, "What kind of freaking mugger am I? I lost my wallet." And the pedestrian has his wallet. So the pedestrian shows up to his house and like punches him in the nose or something. No, he just returns his wallet. That's what he does. And then the police show up because I guess he gave them so he's just like a good Samaritan. Then let's see what else happens. The woman. There's this woman who delivers pizzas, and all of a sudden she runs into this guy, whoever he might be, the stop sign guy. And then we don't know what happens. And we get some kids on their first day to school who get saved in the crosswalk by the pedestrian. So I don't know what this one's about. Pedestrian just kind of did some good deeds as stories went on around him.
I wonder if no parking on weekdays from 8 to 6 will ever show up.
Scripts by Joey Esposito. Art by Sean von Gorman. Colors by Josh Jensen. Letters by Sean Lee. And it's a Magma comic. But I kind of enjoyed the first issue, but I don't know what it's about. It's a mystery to me. But those are the comics I choose to try out. Sometimes I pick one up and go, what was that about? That pedestrian needs a Kraftwerk or Daft Punk soundtrack. Yes.
I'm hearing Genesis, I Can't Dance.
I remember that video.
According to Genesis fans, the not Genesis period.
It was a weird one.
When the drummer thought he could sing and write songs.
I think once again I ended up with 11 comics this week at the comic shop. I think that's because I bought 2 just for their cover and 2 first issues. So that was an extra 4 to my usual stuff. But I think a couple of them are ending. Like it turns out, this was the last issue of the Principles of Necromancy, which I didn't even, once again, I have no idea how long these things are going now. Nice cover.
You never know if it's a 4-issue miniseries and nobody bothered telling you.
Yeah. Don't know if it's a 4-issue miniseries, an ongoing.
A few years ago, there were a lot of people I remember people complaining, "Oh, they didn't tell me it was a 4-issue miniseries. That I wouldn't have bothered if it was."
I think that's why they don't tell people.
But sometimes I've bought stuff because I knew that thing was going to be a 4 or 5 issue because I wasn't interested in committing to a brand new series, but a short story that ends quickly. Yeah, let's do it.
I think more people are like that guy you just mentioned than are like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I'm like, if I know it's a 4-issue miniseries, I might buy it and read it just because it's only 4 issues. But some people are like, no, it's only 4 issues. But like I said, due to the way they package things, I think more people are like that guy than us.
Yeah, for me, it's like that was how my introduction with comics was when there was trying something new. They let you know how many issues it was going to be. And you decided, and to me, it kind of made it a little more special. One in a 4-issue limit series. Transformers was like that. It was a 4-issue miniseries. Then it became 5-issue miniseries. And they decided we're just going to keep going.
I think that's the way it used to be when miniseries first came out. But somewhere along the line, I remember people used to know if people find out it's a miniseries, it doesn't sell as well. And I think it doesn't sell as well in first issues. Because I think it used to be that, like, the first issue of a miniseries never got valuable.
Right.
But the first issue of a continuing series might get valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's those people you lose when you're making a miniseries.
Right.
Because you'll
And-
notice that it's very rare that they would introduce a new character as the start of a miniseries.
Right.
Right.
Now that you mention it. But this was a good, like I didn't expect this one. I wasn't, like that. I had no idea. But they kind of wrapped up the story in this issue, and I enjoyed it. What is it? Set in a fantasy universe bereft of magic, the principles of necromancy follows Dr. Jacob Eyes, one of a small number of scientific physicians who have set their minds to task of curing the ills of the world. But the young Dr. Eyes isn't satisfied to cure the sick or be known as a wizard to curious peasants. No, he has set his sights on defeating the only malady doctors are expressly forbidden from curing, death itself. So
Dun,
it really
dun,
is.
dun.
I mean, it says bereft of magic, but the doctors are really magicians because they're doing things doctors can't do. But it was a nice little piece of horror book. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I think it wrapped up pretty well too. Horror book about a doctor in a fantasy setting. And I think the trade paperback should be out whenever. Let's see. This is actually, I've actually gotten, I think, what was it? The Pedestrian is the third Magma series I've gotten. And all three have been good. I liked the first issue of that. Principles of Necromancy I liked. And what was the other? Silicon Bandits I've been enjoying. So Magma's putting out some pretty good comics, I must say. And I think there's a $4. Yeah, and they're putting them out for $4. So how much was the Pedestrian? $4. You got a much better chance of getting on my pull list if you're $4.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. SBPT. I had one this month. All the others are late. Fortunately, it was Savage Dragon. Even Minnie is a pervert. There you go. Savage Dragon's got some. I believe Ram V Rare Flavors and Tom King's Helen of Windhorn passed from 4 to 6 issues after issue 1. Oh, okay. See, I wasn't sure. I've been buying Helen of Windhorn, but I don't know how many issues it's going. That's another one. But that wrapped up, and what else wrapped up? Love Me, a romance story. This is the one by Stefano Cardacelli, who gave us our Pink Flamingos. Once again, I really like the art. It's a robot love story. And the robot had to fight gangsters to get to his true love. Once again, the story isn't, anything particularly special, but the art is terrific. And the art has a lot of charm to it. Cops have donuts on their dashboard flying around. There's a cat starring in the story, starring in his own story within the story.
So it's like a Patrick Swayze movie.
Yeah.
Have to fight gangsters to get to the woman you love. And there are cops with donuts and cats.
And the cat's doing his own thing. But nice little, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. The available in trade paperback in October 2024. That's what that says. But nice. I really like it. I'm going to be buying anything Stefano Cardacelli draws, even though it's a $5 one from Mad Cave. We'll see what he does next, because I'm on board. So those are 2 that ended. Principles of Necromancy and Love Me.
But at least Department of Truth is back.
What was that?
At least Department of Truth is back.
Yeah, it is. That one's been good. Jorge
have to check.
Coelho's Great Gatsby was only supposed to be 6 issues, and then the publisher asked him for a 7th issue. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Did not know that. I'll be putting, the Great Gatsby versus Godzilla on my pull list too when that comes out.
Mhm. Speaking of Godzilla, that's the next book that I picked up. Godzilla Here Be Dragons 2, Son of the Giants. Same creative team. Frank Terry did the writing. So it's a nice cover with Godzilla, and I believe that is Hedorah, the smog monster.
Oh, okay.
And the last book, this was on my pull list, but this book I pulled off the shelf, but I put the series on my pull list, is Gotcha Man #1 from Mad Cave Studios, artwork by Chris Batista.
Oh, okay.
And it's basically, we would know it here as Battle of the Planets, but the
Okay, that's what I was
original,
going to ask you.
yeah, the original was called Gotcha Man. So the
Right.
story takes place in the original universe, so to speak, as a continuation. Where in America, Battle of the Planets was its own kind of story that was, they basically took the animation from Japan, edited heavily for American
Right.
audience because these characters had weapons and they were unaliving a lot of the villains. Where in America, no, we'll just change their weapons where it's just knocking out people and stuff like that. And they edited so heavily that they introduced a character named Zevin Zark 7, an R2D2 like creature that was narrating the story because it was edited so much. They had to
Huh.
add into it a story. There have
That's
been
probably what
many
was going on.
exactly. So trying to explain what was going on. Um, there have been many comic books over the years of the adaptation of Battle of the Planets, but not necessarily of what the original IP was.
Right.
So this story is basically continuing the original IP itself, and it
And-
is beautiful artwork by Chris Batista in it. Like he's putting out incredible amount of detail into backgrounds, the it's just he's just lack of a better term, he's almost drawing it like an Akira book with so much detail going on. So I'm really happy that this is out. I was actually with him the day he got the call that he gets to work on this project, and so I had to keep that a secret because I knew about it for a while but couldn't talk to anybody about it. So it looks great. So I'm looking forward to reading it. I'll show you guys another page.
You're a little too pixelated for us to see the art, though.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. But I highly recommend it. I haven't even read it yet, but I still recommend it. It
That's
just
funny
it's how
because I
beautiful
know the
it
name
looks.
Gotcha Man, and I know it turned into something else here. I just couldn't remember what it turned into.
Yeah, it turned into, like I said, Battle of the Planets
Mhm.
here. They were also known as G-Force, and for a hot second, they were called Eagle Riders.
Eagle Riders, I don't think I've heard.
It only lasted a summer, from what I understand, because they tried to repackage it a few times.
There was a
Eagle
French
Riders.
there was a French science fiction cartoon, which in English became Spartacus and the Sun Beneath the Sea, and Spartacus was the Han Solo character. He's not the main,
Mm.
but they put him in the title in the English language version. And then there was what was the other one? Man, I forgot. There was another one.
Something or other.
Oh no, it wasn't the same thing, but the uh, another French cartoon based on a Michel Vaillant comic book. In the U.S., it became Heroes on Hot Wheels, because Hot Wheels was the sponsor of the cartoon.
Oh, okay.
And the last book I got for my birthday was Disenchantment, Untold Tales, which I got because friend and former Marvel bullpenner Jacob Chabot has some work in here. And I didn't even know this. It's a Netflix show,
Yes.
as seen on Netflix.
It's
You're
a
not
cartoon
dreaming, it's
show.
Dreamland. I've never seen the show. I've never even seen it. It's never even crossed my Netflix queue.
It's created by Matt Groening, the guy who created The Simpsons,
Right.
and Futurama. So it's its own little universe. I found it quite entertaining when I watched it.
What's funny, this is Jacob's story at least. I think he now you Lucy him, now you don't. And he's drawing in that Matt Groening style. But what I find funny is, I guess because it's light, I didn't even know they still did this. The covers all have Matt Groening's signature on them,
Yes.
even though he didn't draw it. And inside it says, by Jacob Chabot and somebody, and whoever else did stuff. But I'm just like, why do they still do that? Is there anybody who's picking this up because Matt Groening's signature is on it?
I think
I just find that
they
funny.
pick it up. It is funny. It's very Walt Disney.
Yeah.
So I think that's the mentality there is that he has that signature on everything.
That might be it.
So it is because he's the only one that really does that other than Disney that I'm aware of.
The Elfo Who Would Be King. This is some more Jacob Chabot work. So I figured I'd support Jacob, read this, see some of his work. I don't know how many issues he did in this, but he did at least 2. Because I don't think anywhere there's a credits page either. I was looking for a credits page, and they have a credits page for everybody behind this, presented by Matt Groening in Titan Publishing. So there's credits for everybody working behind the scenes, but I couldn't find a credits page for anybody who actually did the artwork and writing and lettering. Besides, they have it on the individual issues, though. Like right there at the bottom is a credits box. But it's like, why don't they have a credits? I don't know. It's a mystery to me. I guess they think no one cares. But I care, damn it. I want to be able to find Jacob's pages. Bastages. Uh-oh. Coelho's Great Gatsby left me puzzled, says Mind the Comics. PT edition includes his character studies with amazing perfect comics, but then he produces his own stylized, messed up stuff. I will let him know whenever. They figured out how to draw it for real. Then he figured out how to stylize it because it was too much work to draw it for real every time. Didn't interest him. You wanted to draw what interested him. I understand that.
Yeah. It's like great ideas of designing a character. You go overboard, and then you realize, I got to do this for every panel for the next whatever issues you start streaming it down real easily.
Or your George Perez and your replacement comes in. I am not drawing this uniform.
No, thank you. And speaking of comics, I don't know how many issues it's going. We got The Deviant, number 7. This is the Christmas noir story about the serial killer. and the comic book writer who's wants to write a comic book about him, but then the writer either becomes a serial killer or is framed by a serial killer. We don't know yet. Some nice artwork by Joshua Hickson, written by James Tinian. But like I said, the twist was, I think at the end of issue 5, our main character for the first 5 issues gets arrested and thrown in jail for being a serial killer. And now the main character's boyfriend is trying to figure out what happened and who framed him. And there's also an FBI agent trying to figure that out too, but that's a separate track. So the writer's boyfriend went to jail to talk to the serial killer, the one who's been in jail, when he may not have done it. He may have been kind of set up and caught up in this because he was gay back in the 70s. So we don't know who's the serial killer in this, but it's been really well done. Very good Christmas noir. Like I said, this is one this came out around Christmas time, maybe a little before. So I figured it'd be going 4 issues, but we're up to 7 now, and it can just keep going. I mean, there's no immediate end in sight. So once again, I'm just like, okay, maybe it's going 10 issues. Maybe it's going 12. Maybe it's going 8. Who knows? I'm along for the ride. Did you get anything else, Wilson?
No, that's the bulk of everything that I picked up. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 issues this week.
Pretty good haul?
Yeah, I think so. I'll enjoy reading these tomorrow.
Yep.
I've been finding that Saturday mornings has been my comic book reading time.
That's the prime reading time?
Yeah. I can sit down, have a cup of coffee, and just enjoy reading the books.
That's good. That's good. Let's see, what else did I get? Here's another one that's just about to end. We've got one more issue of Ain't No Grave. And I'm not really sure what happened in this issue. I think this was the Mystical Journey issue, where this woman, who was an ex-outlaw in the Old West, then settled down with a husband and had a baby boy who's like a kid now. And then something happened where, I don't know, I think her kid may have been dying from cancer. And for some reason, she decided she was heading out to find death. So she went to this little town on the edge of nowhere to find death, to beat death so her kid wouldn't have to die or something. And second and third issue were all about her going through this town and having her fight her way through. And this issue 4, chapter 4, depression. I guess her mystical journey was depression. Because she shows up to this bar, but she shows up to this bar and she's in that outfit, black with a white frilly collar. Then all of a sudden she's in this outfit, which is yellow. What side am I on? All of a sudden she's in a yellow outfit. I'm like, is that the same character? How did she change outfits in the middle of the page? Then she gets into a rage in this yellow outfit. Then we have this panel of somebody in the yellow outfit watching the shadow walk in, and somebody in the black outfit watching the same shadow walk in. Are they each other? I don't know. And then I guess they follow each other, because there's a shadowy figure in the background, and there's the woman in the black outfit. And I guess she's following this whistle now. It's just like, okay. Oh, and it turns out she was following a little girl to this guy who's playing a guitar until his fingers are bloody. And that's where the music was coming from. Then everything collapses all around them. She gets buried alive, cuts her hair off. Somehow there's a casket involved. And then she rides off. Like, what?
Seems like wasn't sure which metaphor they were going for.
Now she's got her big red scarf back. Where'd that come from? And she goes through this thing. And in the end, I guess, finds death. I don't know. So I think this is the hallucinogenic issue. I can't tell you literally what happened, but she went on a mystical journey of some kind. House Bin Ain't No Grave. The art is terrific. The story, It's confusing storytelling. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be, though. I mean, I think that's the point of it, but I don't really know because it was confusing. Like I said, I think it was a mystical journey issue. But I can't really tell you. Only one more issue left of that, though. So she'll either beat death or she won't. I can't even remember if she's trying to beat death for herself or her son. I think it's for her son. Because that motivates characters more than themselves. On a mystical journey through Ain't No Grave. Sleepy says, I'm less into No Grave with each issue. I can understand that. I might be a little bit of that too. I enjoyed this issue, but I couldn't tell what was going on. The art and all the issues is just fun. So there's that, but I'm okay with it only being 5 issues. 100% okay with that. The How book is about to kill death. Yeah, I think that's what it's about, trying to kill death. But, they already killed Death and Grimm, the other book I'm reading. It didn't go well for them after they killed Death. Have you ever read any Scotty Young books, either of you guys? Scotty Young written?
I think so.
I don't think I have. I may have a Scotty Young cover or two that I may have liked and picked up, but off the top of my head, I don't recall buying anything he's written.
What did he write? Middle West? I think that was his. I Hate Fairyland. Ain't No Grave. So he's been writing quite a few things in the last few years. I think I got the first issue of Middle West, and it was okay, but I didn't keep buying it. Once again, if I had known how many issues it was going to be, I might have bought it. I remember that one being like a Midwestern crime one, sort of like a Fargo story.
Okay, so does anyone want to do a read, rip, and slab?
Of course. Pick a decade.
Sure.
Let's see what we
no,
got.
I have one ready to go right
one.
here.
All right.
Yes.
Let's see. Ooh,
Epic
what do we
Comics
got here?
Epic Comics miniseries, which were launched in
number 1.
Exactly,
Tomorrow
1990.
number 1.
And The Atomic Age number 1.
I think I may have read Plastic Forks. I'm not sure. That was Sienkiewicz, right? Or was that McKean? Yeah, okay. Then I must have read the first issue. If not, I got to check my database now to see if I have any Plastic Forks.
I don't believe I ever read Plastic Forks.
I remember seeing it all the time.
I remember the name, but I don't think I ever picked it up. Tomorrow Nights looks interesting.
Yeah, it's Rod Wiggum. It's Rod Wiggum and Roy Richardson.
I do, in fact, have 5 issues of Plastic Forks. I don't remember it at all. But I have all.
Tomorrow Nights, number 1. It's a nice cover. And Atomic Age, I read it when it came out. I have digital copies on my computer that is being published by Apex Comics. So that's part of the Apex Comics family now. They celebrated an anniversary. And like I said, I have it digitally because I made it digitally for Comixology, which you can't get anymore because Comixology, unfortunately, doesn't exist. But those files are out there somewhere. But yeah, so I'm connected to that, to Atomic Age. So
Who did Atomic Age?
Frank
Atomic Age
Levis.
was Levici is the writer. Al Williamson was the inker, and I forgot the name of the penciler.
I can't tell if that says Mark Chiarello.
No, that's an O, not a C.
Frank Chermonti.
Something Okamoto.
Oh, okay. I'm way off.
Yeah, I don't think I remember seeing the guy's name anywhere else.
Okay.
I'm going to read.
Oh boy, where did you find these gems, compadre Costa?
Oh, I'm one of the world's leading experts on epic comics, mostly because nobody else bothers.
By default.
Yeah. I'm going to read The Atomic Age and Drip Tomorrow Nights and Slab Plastic Forks. Because it's a good poster or a record, a cover for a record more than for a comic.
Tit Goblin says, I got Forks and Atomic. Atomic was bought for its cover. And Dead Quinn's going to read Plastic Forks, Rip Tomorrow Nights, and Slab Atomic Age. Eric P's going to read Tomorrow Nights, Slab Atomic Age, Rip, or in this case, break Plastic Forks. Ted McKeever's storytelling is strange. It is. Damn, I'm not able to rip any. I would slab them all. That's not the game.
Yes. I would slab Atomic Age, just because I have the connection to it.
Yep.
I think I want to read Tomorrow Nights. Something looks so classically superhero about it. And unfortunately, that means I'm going to have to rip Plastic Forks. The great thing about it, because it's just a Kevin's cover, no matter where you rip it, it's going to still look interesting. No matter, you could follow, I guess, is that lightning? If you could follow the lightning to break it up into a puzzle, it'll still look amazing.
Yeah, that's the thing about Tomorrow Nights. It looks, like I said, it looks classic. And yeah. I think Epic at the time was trying to diversify because they had never had a hit up to then. And they wanted to prove that they could do creator. By this stage, I'm not sure if Carl Potts was in charge of Epic. And Potts probably had some different ideas.
Yeah. I am going to slab Atomic Age and try and get a better grade than Wilson and then sell it to him. Because he's got a soft spot for it. Then I'm going to, since I've already read Plastic Forks and forgotten it, I'm going to read Tomorrow Nights and I'll have to rip up Plastic Forks.
And I would put the flamingo on the Tomorrow Nights cover, standing with them, because I think they need just more people on that edge. And maybe I'll have the dolphin, maybe replace the alien that's fighting in Atomic Age with the dolphin. Well, actually, the funny thing is both characters are aliens. Think about it. So I would have the dolphin be the alien that's within the suit.
Yeah, I'm going to dolphin the top floor on that building in plastic forks. And the flamingo, the flamingos are also going to go on plastic forks. They're going to go on that sash thing, the electric sash thing.
I'm going to replace whatever that is in the foreground of plastic forks with the dolphin. You probably won't even notice. It'll look just the same. Ooh, and then I'm going to put the dolphins up in the top story of whatever that building is on plastic forks as they try to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Eric P. Dolphin the soda cup on the drive-in screen in Atomic Age. Put the flamingos on the cars watching the screen in Atomic Age. Fuck Flamingo them all. Now I really have to know what Plastic Forks is about. I hope like Paranormal Outsider Paranormal with Punk Edge. Can a dolphin replace the main guy in Tomorrow Nights? He sure can. Dressing him in the same pilot's jacket and dark glasses. That sounds like a good idea. Nothing good as the inventor discovers when his invention is used on him. His quest to stop the conspiracy-minded thieves and then retrieve his invention makes this one of the wildest suspense tales yet. Is that Plastic Forks?
Mm-hmm.
Sparks.
Sporks. Yeah. Yeah. Plastic sporks.
Go back here to Undead Quinn for a sec. He liked I Hate Fairyland, and it had ups and downs. Yeah. I Hate Fairyland, nowhere close to the first series. Candyland meets violence. You bet I would. My cup of tea. Yeah, I don't know. What year did you say these came out?
1990, spread throughout the year.
Okay. So I don't remember Tomorrow Night. I wonder if I let me check my database, see if I ever got an issue of Tomorrow Nights. Let's see. Nope, doesn't look like it. Tom Strong. Too Much Coffee Man. No Tomorrow Nights. I did not get it. That was a fun one. Let's see, another miniseries I got this week. Grendel, Devil's Crucible, Defiance, 2 of 4. This one I know exactly how long it's going. 4 issues, then another 4-issue mini, then another 4-issue mini for 12 issues. And this is the one where after the last 12 issue, which was 1 through 12, ended, Grendel is back on Earth, and it's 400 years, 500 years since he was last there, and everything's different. And he got the story of what happened on this Earth. The Grendel screwed things up, and the vampires took over. So remember in the Christine Spar Grendel era, she was going up against a vampire? Well, it turned out that some of them were still alive hundreds and hundreds of years later.
Because the vampires had taken over during the God and the Devil period. Which was already 500 years in the future after Christine Spar. So it's another 500 years. I think that's in the year 3000 something, maybe.
I don't know if they give us a year.
They don't, but it's about that, I think.
Yeah, long time in the future.
Mm-hmm. Tales of Dead Earth.
But in this issue, we get to see Grendel be Grendel too. Grendel Prime be Grendel Prime, because he ends up in this situation where he's traveling with these 2 people who are the ones giving him information on Earth, and they're secret Grendels. Secretly in the Grendel Club, which is outlawed. And he's just like there's basically a motorcycle gang of about 30 people after them. They're a hovercraft gang because the leaders of the earth got news that there's some weird Grendel thing there, so they want to kill him. They put a bounty on him. And he's like, "Oh, I only have one gun, so do you have some kind of big sharp sword I can borrow?" And the woman's like, "Here, I have this axe."
That'll do.
And he's like, "That'll do." So he jumps out and just chops the head off of
Okay,
everybody.
I know that most Grendels are not supposed to be Grendel Prime, but just because they're going underground, these two Grendels that Prime teamed up with, they seem very ineffectual as Grendels.
Yeah, they're not real. They're just people who kind of are in the Grendel
Yeah.
tradition or what. I think they're just regular people.
Mhm.
They're not fighters or anything like that. They've
No.
never seen anything like Grendel Prime.
So they're
Yeah.
more like the agents of like the Shadow, that he
Yeah.
had agents where they didn't really do much other than their job and
Mhm.
occasionally helped out the character.
Then you get these two creepy naked things at the end with big swinging nuts.
Yeah, they're vampires.
So, and a nice Hunter Rose by Dakota Alexander pinup. Done in the
Nice
classic
one.
Hunter Rose Art Deco style.
Yeah.
Soon to be a television show on Amazon Prime. Neil Gaiman's Annecy Boys. There's an ad for that. I'm like, I don't remember seeing this anywhere. It's because it's by Sean Martinborough, whose art I like. But I haven't noticed it anywhere. There's a creepy horror cover, too. What's that one? Into the Unbeing Part 1, mind-bending eco-horror with an original twist on exploring the unknown. Cool cover, if nothing else. Once again, I'm not a fan of Dark Horse's physical comics. They do the self-covered cheapo comic. And for $5, I should get some cover stock. That just annoys me. That's why I don't buy a lot of Dark Horse comics. Not all their comics have. Like the Matt Kint ones always have a cover stock. Too Much Coffee Man Rules. Yeah, that was some fun stuff. Undead Quinn, Plastic Forks by Ted McKeever is the tale of a radical scientist working in a field of reproductive studies who has his own creation, a device that can turn anyone into an implanted inside into a self-impregnating new life form, used against him and taken from him for further development and inevitable perversion. Okay. Is Plastic Forks McKeever or Sienkiewicz or both?
I don't remember.
I made some balloons accidentally.
Balloons for them.
Yes.
Now we'll make some lasers. So it's McKeever. Yeah. You'd think I know, being that I have it. No, Toaster was Stray Toasters.
Straight Toasters were Sienkiewicz, yes.
Plastic Forks was McKeever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
That's why it's even weirder, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, now I remember. Yeah, Ted McKeever. There we go. 1990. I was at second year. The year I read my first comic. Oh, a Brazilian edition of Alpha Flight number 13. I hid the comic beside a wardrobe, afraid the guardian skeleton in it.
But it wasn't brand new. That comic came out here in 1988. It came out in Brazil in 87, and I bought it in 88. By that stage, in 1990, they actually had Alpha. They weren't running Alpha Flight at the time. They did the X-Men Alpha Flight miniseries in 2 issues of X-Men, and Alpha Flight came back about a year or so later. Now with the Jim Lee artwork.
I have to see if I have Stray Toasters.
I remember the title. I don't remember the book at all.
I know I bought some of it, but I don't know
Yeah,
if I have.
Straight Toasters is the second best name for an epic miniseries. The first one being Steel Grip Starkey and the All-Purpose Power Tool.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
I do not have any Straight Toasters. Straight Toasters is good horror. Maybe I read it because 1990 was about when I first started working at Marvel. I found one issue of Straight, so I remember maybe I got some from there. I don't remember, but maybe I got rid of them. I don't know. I can't imagine I got rid of Sienkiewicz, but who knows? I've had a lot of comics come and go over the years. Most of them just stayed here, but some of them went. Some of them went. Let's see. I also got issue 2 of 4, The Goon, Then That Don't Stay Dead, part 2 of 4 by Eric Powell. Here is one of his villains who he killed, this voodoo guy, comes back. Due to the kid with the duck, which doesn't make any sense if you haven't read the book. But he's back to he now took over the zombie gang and he's after the goon. So, I mean, if you read the Goon, you know Eric Powell's stuff is always good. It's always fun. So I'll pick up any Goon stuff he did. What was that other one? Hillbilly. I think I liked even better than the Goon. That was another series of his, really good. So I'm on board the Eric Powell train no matter what. I'm buying his stuff. So I found one issue. There are now 12 plus an issue. Okay. Found it next to the garbage bin. I bet it was haunted. It's amazing, Paolo, how you know that title by heart.
Yeah.
Must spent a lot of time with it.
This was at the time that the Brazilian publisher, they didn't have all of the chronology in place. So Alpha Flight was ahead of the chronology, which is why they had to take liberties with the story and remove the Beyonder from one of those issues. Because Secret Wars 2 was still 2 years away. And so they put Alpha Flight on ice, and they put New Defenders on ice as well for a while, and they made sure that Captain America got late by running as many Avengers stories as possible as Captain America stories. Hulk was also ahead. They went with doing very little double issues for many years, and running all of the annuals, even the ones with bad quality.
And speaking of Matt Wagner, I noticed I just got an email over there that the digital version of a Kickstarter I bought is in. It's Matt Wagner and Kelly Jones doing Dracula. I think Matt Wagner's writing it. Kelly Jones is drawing it. It's called Dracula Volume 1, The Impaler. And I just got the digital version because I don't want to spend all the money on the physical version. But I'll have to go download that after the show and put it on my iPad. So I'm glad to see that one's done. I haven't seen anything new by Kelly Jones in a while, but he's not always on my radar. But I remember I saw the Kickstarter months ago and I was like, oh, I'll get this. I think it was like $12 for the digital version. I forget how many pages it was, but it's a graphic novel. So it's probably 100, maybe 80 to 100. Who knows? I thought it was worth $12 and not $45 or something for the
right.
Whatever the hardcover one was with shipping and everything. Kelly Jones does covers a lot. Oh, okay. The last thing I remember him that I picked up by him was that last issue of Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein. SBPT. Alpha Flight is still my favorite Marvel team. Volume 2 was interesting too, but afterwards it only disappoints. That's what happens. That's what happens. We like it during our youth, then we get tired of it, and it's not the same anymore. They try to bring in new ideas, but we don't like the new ideas. We're tired of the old ideas, so it's time to find other stuff to read.
For me, Alpha Flight is funny because that was one of those new books that John Byrne was working on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was excited to see it on the stands, and I picked them up.
Yeah.
And every now and then when I see a Alpha Flight cover pop up, I get more excited for it existing than actually going into it and reading it.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, it's like there's a nostalgic there that it almost feels like this must be my favorite book. But it's not at all. I just get excited to see it.
It's
and
amazing
I like
what
that it
nostalgia
exists.
does.
Yeah. It's like I see it and it's like, is this my favorite team? No, not at all. But I'm always excited to see them.
Like those issues of Whisper that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, where from the 80s, I got a complete set of them. I went to reread it about 10 years ago, and I couldn't make it through more than 2 issues. But I still, when I go over to my shelf and look at them, I get nostalgic, though. I'm like, oh, Whisper. I like flipping through the covers, but I don't want to read it. But one of the things, too, about comic book covers that I like is they're a time machine. Especially old comics where the trade dress changes every few years. You can see the artists change. You can this is the Perez run on X-Men. Oh, I remember. You can watch them over. Oh, the Byrne run. So it's like just flipping through them is a nostalgia time machine.
Yes.
Alpha Flight is a thing that Alpha Flight's not supposed to be it was supposed to be a superhero book, but it's not. It's a drama. It's not it's a drama about friends who can't keep a steady job. But the thing after Burton quit, whoever came up afterwards, which was first it was Bill Mantlo in it, then it was James Hudnall. They don't do what Byrne did, and that's why it doesn't feel like Alpha Flight.
Right.
They do the superhero stuff.
Yep.
And there's something missing, which is
why even as a kid I started following creators rather than character.
Yeah, but it isn't. Well, sometimes it's not even the creator. You can read something that one creator did once and like it, and not like anything else by that creator.
That happens too.
You just got lucky to find that comic at the precise time that you needed.
Right. That happens 3. Undead Quinn says, I last heard Kelly Jones doing a Spider-Man book. Okay. The last version was just sad because they decided it had to tie in with Hickman's X-Men. Yep. Alpha Flight works well isolated from the rest of the Marvel universe. The X-Men work well isolated from the rest of the Marvel universe. Like the X-Men doesn't make sense if there's superheroes in the world. Yeah. At least the whole persecuted mutants thing.
When you bring in all of the other characters that were created by other writers, there's no fun. I mean, people like it's easy to understand which characters people like to see in Alpha Flight, and it's Mac and Heather, and Jean-Paul and Jean-Marie, and Walter and Mike and Judd and Marina and Liz, and that's it.
Yeah.
SBPT Larson did a good version of Alpha Flight at Savage Dragon. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was their name? The Canadian Force?
North
Force?
North Force, yeah.
North Force. That was it. That was good stuff. He does a good job on Savage Dragon. Let's see the big chunks of stuff I got to show you. This is the stuff I got from mycomicshop.com. For some reason, I got another copy of Clone #1. It was only like $2. I think I got this just to keep with my slabbed copy of Clone #1 that I bought for so cheap last year, I think it was. And I think I was like, you know what? I need, next to this slabbed copy, I need a copy I can look through because my actual copy is up on my shelf with all the issues of Clone. So I was like, yeah, it's only $2. Why not get another one? So I did. Now I'll put it next to I'll put it next to that was just a weird throw-in one. And I don't know if you guys remember. I don't know if it was this year or the end of last year. I got this cross-gen book, Route 666. Turns out I got the first 18 issues of it. First, I got 19 out of 22 issues off of eBay, like at the end of last year or something. Just because when it was coming out, I bought like the first 2 or 3 issues and liked it, but never put it on my pull list. So I decided, 20 years later, why not get them? So I found them on eBay. I think the cheapest set I found was short 3 issues. But it was only like $25 or $30 for the 20 issues. So I was like, all right, I'll get them. And I said, I'll see if the other one, I can get the other ones on mycomicshop.com and just put them in some order sometime. And they don't always have all 3 of these ones, but this time they did. They're only like $2.50 a piece too. It's not like these are expensive. They're probably in dollar sections. Some, if I ever look through dollar sections. So this is like a weird horror adventure strip. But a lot of now I can read these last 3 issues and I got the whole set of them. Let's see. Did you see slabbing comics has lost its value? I've seen that. I think because people are making more with raw books. Yeah, because you know what it is too? People want to flip the books. So they want to buy the raw books, press them, send them to CGC, and then flip them. That's what they're trying to do, except they're now finding it's hard to flip them because people don't want. And also, I think for a few years too, there's been this sort of, once again, when now that pressing has become big, it's been a thing to buy an 8.5, crack it, press it, see if you can get it up to a 9.2 and make a lot of money. But I think now, since so many of the books that are slabbed have been pressed, people are like, well, I can't just flip a slabbed book anymore. Now, when you buy a 9.2 slabbed book and press it, it's a 9.2. You're not making any money doing that. So I think that might be another reason that it has slowed down. But I don't think it's just that people are like people want. I think the people who want raw books are also the people who want to slab them and flip them. But also, people still want raw books. I like new characters in Alpha Flight. They just need to tell a good story outside of the mega Marvel event.
Ain't nobody like Goblin and Loradine, okay? Forget it.
I did enjoy when they had, I think, probably the 3rd volume during the time I was at Marvel. And I did enjoy that the Sasquatch they had was a real Bigfoot that they just pulled out of the forest thinking it was the doctor. And it's like the only reason it followed them is because they were feeding it. I thought that was entertaining. That was a nice little trick into it. It's like, oh, go get Sasquatch. And they find one out in the wild, not realizing it's a real one. I thought that was enjoyable.
You get more enjoyment with raw books, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Like the only slabbed books I have are conversation pieces. They're not real slabbed books. But I read Alpha Flight up until he killed off Vindicator. Then I got boring for me, and that's about the time I dropped everything from Marvel and DC. So
it didn't get boring because
I
Narya apparently goes nuts and kills Walter, but it's not Walter because he's been taken over by one of the Great Beasts. Then they go into a different parallel dimension and they kill off the Great Beasts. Then they come back and Walter dies, but they put Walter inside the Box armor and he becomes Box. And then Roger Box starts getting jealous.
Just what I don't like. I find
that was.
I find when Marvel and DC took death out of the equation, it became boring for me.
But then it gets better because Roxanne Petroleum's robot assistant comes back and pretends to be a Guardian, but she's really bringing back Omega Flight, and they're going to kill Alpha Flight. That was an amazing soap opera.
And how did they kill Vindicator again? It was some weird way that was like that had him just
his suit was messed up. He was he was fixing it. His wife opens the door, interrupts him, and he explodes.
Yeah.
It was something really weird. I mean, anticlimactic.
He could have saved himself, but he got interrupted in the last second, and yeah, his suit was just messed up.
And that's where the Guardian skeleton that SPVT was talking about came from, because one issue starts with them having Guardian's funeral, and then he comes out of the grave while exploding and goes after Heather, but it's a nightmare she's having.
Let's see. Undead Quid says, I have my comic shop exclusive cover slabbed. See, that's a conversation piece. That's a slab. That's what I have. I've, clone #1 slabbed. Nice covers, but good comic, but there's no reason to have it slabbed. I got a slab. I bought a slabbed one for like $35. That's the only reason I got it, because it was so cheap. SBPT. I forgot the 3rd volume. I agree. They did a Crisis in Infinite Earths in the last issues. A little Alpha Flight. Then another series I filled in was Stray Bullets. And I already had this first issue. It just wasn't with all my others. It was with some. This is the one that is autographed by David Lapham that he sent to me because I bought a piece of artwork off of eBay from him, and he forgot to send it. So eventually I had to contact him and say, send this, will you? And he's like, oops. So he sent me a little sketch, and he sent me this autograph #1, which was with the art. Now I'll put it with the rest of the comics. And these are just the issues. These are just the issues from before I got them. Got issue 2. Got issue 3. And some of these have a lot of ticks on them. They're only like very good. But they're only like $2.50 a piece. I think everything I bought was like $2.50. 5. Was that the one with all the ticks? Yeah. That's the one with a whole bunch of ticks on the side. Not a great copy, but oh well. I have these all in oversized hardcover too. But I just kind of wanted the issues. 6, because they're only $2.50. Why not? 7, 8. I was never a huge fan of these only art down the bottom third. 9 covers. As a consequence, I don't think there's any classic Stray Bullets covers. 10, 11. I guess I already have 12 because here's 13. So now I have all the Stray Bullets issues. I'm good to go. You guys read Stray Bullets?
I have a trade paperback with the first issues.
Okay. Need more. And
Yeah.
now they found out Nemesis was a future Heather all the
Now
time.
Now that makes absolutely no sense.
As soon as you start giving future and past and alternate versions of people, the people get diminished. That's why I get so bored with that stuff.
Nemesis was Danley Ernest's daughter. That worked perfectly. And then she died. And then there's somebody else that wasn't burned brought her back.
Once you have a legion of Reed Richards, how interesting is Reed Richards?
Yeah.
He lives or dies, there's another one standing next to him. You're good.
Like that episode of Sliders where they put in a backdoor in case John Rhys Davies wanted to come back to the show.
In Invincible, Duplicate had like Prime Kate in her own room off somewhere, so that if any of the duplicate Kates die, it's okay. Prime Kate is still somewhere hidden. Do you know that character from Invincible?
Yeah, I know it from the cartoon. I never read the comic book, but I watched the cartoon, and that was part of the storyline.
They mentioned that in the cartoon?
They had it in the cartoon. It was a surprise in the cartoon.
Okay.
Because you do see the duplicates get killed.
Right.
Right in it. I mean, again, I didn't know what Invincible was about. I went in to watch it, and if I had pearls, I would clutch them.
Yeah.
This is not the suit. This is not the Super Friends. So, but entertaining, and it was a good surprise. And I think because I didn't read the comic books, a lot of those surprises came out, and that was one of them. Because that was a character I really did enjoy.
Yeah.
So when they had killed her off, I was a little bit sad for that character. It's like, oh, I really like that character because it reminds me of the original Legion character who can Triplicate Girl.
Triplicate Girl.
It reminded me of her because that's who it's kind of from. Mm-hmm.
Duo Damsel. Now, let's see. The other series I finished off just about was Strangers in Paradise. Whoa. I don't think... There's 4 volumes of Strangers in Paradise. The first volume was only 4 issues. I forget how many this I think this is the second volume. I forget how many issues this is, but like I don't think I have all 4. I'll have to look because I have like a later printing of the very first issue. But I think I have them at a trade paperback collection, that first miniseries, and I have everything else in comics now, I think. Here's number 1 of volume 2. Number 4. Number 6. And number 10. Nice cover, that one. And I think this is I think I'm done with Strangers in Paradise now. I think I have everything that's in the series. I'm gonna have to double check in my database in my comics, but I think I don't think I need any more issues of Strangers in Paradise. Have you guys ever read that series at all?
No.
I read it during the late 90s. I was reading one of the series. It wasn't the... Which one?
The Image Comics printings?
Probably.
Yeah.
It was most likely Image.
Did some, and like Jim Lee did some covers for it, I think. I don't remember if they were reprints or not. I can't remember. I can't remember that sequence of it all.
Yeah, I don't remember the sequence. I know I was picking them up. I was enjoying them. For me, it was definitely something outside of the superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was kind of calling it like a slice of life book. It was just a peek into these people's lives. Not really sure where they were going with them. And I was just it was a nice cleanser compared to the superhero stuff.
Right.
Beautiful artwork,
Yeah.
and it was just like something to read about somebody of these people's lives. So I enjoyed it. I don't know how long I kept up with it,
Hmm.
but I did buy a bunch of issues.
That was one where it took me a while to get into it. Like I said, I bought that fourth or so printing of the first one. I don't even know when it came out, but I got it and liked it, but then didn't see it again. And it may have come out like when I was in college or something, where it was hard for me to get things on my pull list because I was away most of the time. And then it kind of became big, and I picked up an issue here or there and really didn't quite get into it. And then finally, sometime in the early 90s, I said, I'm just putting it on my pull. Sometimes I'm like, this should be a book I like. Everything about this book says it should be one I like. So I'm just putting it on my pull list and giving it a good read. And it's been on my pull list ever since. But it took me a while to catch on to it, to really, to get into what it was doing. Terry's covers were better in the 90s. Now they're a little generic. I think I agree with you there. I think now he's not going to even be doing the comics. He's going straight to collected edition. So I think they're a little more generic because I don't think they sold the comic anymore. I don't think covers sell besides alternate covers.
I think I think Strangers in Paradise may sell better outside North America than in North America.
And it might sell better and collected too.
Yeah. So, but if that's the case, there's no point. Since the other countries don't, in other countries, it's always the collected edition. That's the original edition. Might as well go do it immediately.
Yeah, might as well do it to me. And like I said, I think the covers became less and less important over the years. Hence, they became more generic. Because I think they're all nice. They're all nice drawings. But I don't think he thought, probably, it's not like the 90s when someone would see the cover of your book on the stands and pick it up and maybe read it. I don't think that happens as much for whatever reason. So I like it, but I do agree that they're a little more generic now, a little more designy. But you don't get like that last one, especially. He just does wonderful sort of character drawings, and he still does, but now it's usually one character. It looks like he just put all the covers in the background too, so he made it look more complex than it is just by. Those are all just the covers in the background giving us that color. But I would say his covers are more like this now. But I guess he was doing that back then too. I'm going to have to look. One of the things I'm going to do is look through all of them. I look forward to pulling out all the Strangers in Paradise and just thumbing through them and looking at their covers. Like I said, it's kind of a time machine as you look through them. A pin-up and a blank background. I like buying his single issues. Yeah. So do I. I still enjoy them. I wish he was making them. And the last one I just about finished off, I'm still missing one issue, is Bone. Once again, I was way late to Bone. The first time I bought Bone, Image Comics they did printings of Bone in like sometime in the 90s. And I found like on eBay the first 20 issues for $20 and bought those. And then I put it on my pull list, but never got a lot of like sometime around in the 30s and never got the issues in between. But here's issue 20. I got issue 28. So I must have had like around 1 to 27. 30, because I know I got 31, 32, 33. By the way, I hate these stickers that my comic shop puts on their bags because they're impossible to get off. You may as well just replace the bag. 35, and it just annoys me. 35, 36, Bone by Jeff Smith, and 37. Now the only issue I'm missing is 38, which for some reason that I have no idea why goes for like $50. All these issues were $2.50. Very fine. If you can find issue 38 for some reason, it's expensive. And I'm like, why? I have no idea.
Wonder if it's a
I've never
lower print run.
I don't know what he was. I don't know why it would be a lower print run because it's cartoon books. This is his self-published one. All the other ones are. So it's like I have no idea why 38 is so hard to get. Must be the print run, but why would it be a lower print run? I don't know. But I just finished rereading Bone. I think it was last fall. I got the digital version on my Kindle and read it all digitally on the train and really enjoyed it. First time I read the whole thing together because I've always meant to get a collected edition of Bone, but I don't like any of the collected editions they've come out with. You guys read Bone?
Nope.
I read it when they were reprinting it through Image.
Okay.
Because when I came to Marvel, it was all over the ninth floor. Like the ninth floor group were really into Bone and like quoting lines from it and stuff like that. So I started picking them up. I started picking up the reprints, and those were the I believe those are the Image ones.
Yeah, those are the Image ones. That's what I got too.
So
Yeah, a friend of mine has. Yeah, a friend of mine has the big one that collects all 40 issues.
Right.
And I borrowed it, but that thing is really hard to read.
That's why I don't like it. As a physical book, it's hard to read. That's why I'm like, I've never got a collected edition of Bone. Just because if it came out in some deluxe hardcover larger edition that's easier to read, like that trade paperback one is not easy to read.
I think I may have picked up one of the trades that had had a first group of books, not the whole thing. And I don't know if Scholastic was the one that put it out, but I do recall reading a early trade paperback to like catch up, because I think by the time Image was doing it, I didn't start with issue 1. So I think I may have gotten a trade to start it and then went into the Image issues.
Because the big oversized one with all 40 issues in it is like 6x9 size. It's manga size.
Yes.
So that's even harder to read when it's that thick. And I think Scholastic put out a bunch of manga size trades, but they also put it out in color. But I don't think there's one big color volume.
No, the big one is black and white. The color volumes are regular size, so they have 5 to 8 issues each or something like that.
Yeah, I think those ones aren't around. I never really saw those ones much. But then they put out some 6x9 black and white ones too, with just 6 or 8 issues in it. But I've never actually seen the color volumes of Bone.
And when I was in Seattle for one comic convention back in probably 99 or 2000, I did find some like 4 issues, the original cartoon books, 4 issues of it on a like a used bookstore. Had some good copies, and I picked up I think 4 issues. I don't remember what issues they were, but they were just like issue 6 or issue 2 or something like that. And like, oh, these are the originals, and I had picked those up.
Yeah, I'm okay with reading Bone in individual issues. Like I said, just because I don't like those any of the collected editions I've seen. Let me open up one of these and see. I don't even know if there's any extra material in Bone, if it was just the comic. If there's a letters page or there is. There is a letters page, bona fides. Some Thorn stuff, some ads for more Bone stuff. Okay. Yeah, here's Volume 6, Old Man's Cave. I guess he was putting out his own hardcovers too. Shipping August 1999, hardcover $24. Like I said, I've never seen these ones. I don't know what size they are either. In August, Boneville is getting a facelift. www.boneville.com. An e-village for folks who love cartoons. I wonder if that's still around. Oh, some nice back cover art too. So that's cool. I'm glad there's some extras in Bone I can look forward to. Some extra stuff to look at. Because I don't think there's a lot of extra stuff in Stray Bullets or... Let's open up a random
The
issue.
website still exists.
Oh, look at that. What's on it?
All right. Welcome to Boneville. August 9th is National Book Lovers Day. So happy Book Lovers Day.
Okay.
So it's updated.
Yeah.
It says, yay, it's Comic Book Wednesday. So it looks like he put up some information there. New covers by Jeff Smith. So it's kept up.
Looks like Stray Bullets has a nice letters page too. With a great, I forgot it had a great name. The name of the letters page of Stray Bullets is Lunatic Ravings of a Group of People Too Dangerous to Gather in One Room.
Amazing.
Oh, I didn't realize El Capitan Books was in Toms River, New Jersey. Well, I guess it would have to be nearby. Didn't he work at Valiant?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would have to be near the city. I'd forgotten that.
There's a blog on the website, so it's kept up.
It's still going for people who love cartoons. Let's see if this Strangers in Paradise has anything extra in it. Because it doesn't now. If you buy a Terry Moore book comic now, it's just the comic. There's no letters page or anything. Let's see in the beginning. Oh, it looks like there was the beginning issues have an editorial, Random Thoughts by Terry Moore. Oh, it looks like there's a there's a letters page in the early issues of Strangers in Paradise too. That's cool. Even though I rarely read letters pages, I like knowing they exist.
Yeah.
I don't know what that psychological condition is called.
I think it comes down to like, what formats do you like your comic book to be in, and what it should have. Like, I don't mind house ads, but it shouldn't be the whole book. And I've always liked house ads that were designed not only well, but maybe had fun with it. Like the Power Man and Iron Fist house ad.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was like, Iron Fist was saying, hey, buy the books. You don't want to get Power Man angry with you. And the next issue, hey, you were told to buy these books. Why aren't you buying them? Little things like that were a lot of fun. And I think, even though I didn't read many of the letters pages, but one of the ones I do remember reading were in the X-Men. For a little while, Claremont was writing it as if the X-Men were answering their letters. And I thought I don't know if Claremont did it, but it was one of those things where the letters were being read by the X-Men and answered in those individual X-Men voices.
Oh, we all know that was some assistant editor
Most likely, yeah.
with a freelance. Yeah, that was the assistant editor's freelance job.
hmm
SPPC. A cover was to say something about the story in it, and none of them does it anymore. Yeah, that's the Strangers in Paradise one. Yeah. I missed out on the cover collection and the hardcover set. I actually just ordered speaking of cover collections, yeah, there was I didn't get that either. In the Strangers in Paradise hardcover set, there's one issue with all the covers in it. One book. That does sound, yeah. The full Terry Moore book. Yeah, that is book collection. Yeah. I remember that one. That one almost made me get it, but I was like, eh. But Distillery is putting out, what is it? The Tula Lute and I can't remember the other woman who's doing it with her. Their book. They're putting out a book of just the covers from that book. I think there's like 40 or 60 covers from that book that they're putting out in a book or treasury an album like the. So I actually put that on my pull list. It was only like $6 or $8. I can't even remember what it was. It wasn't that expensive. I was like, you know what? A book of covers? I'll get that. Oh, what was her name? Can't remember. I missed some extras in Terry's books. You pay almost $5 for 20 pages of art and 6 of ads. Yeah, that's why Savage Dragon seems more complete. That's exactly why I haven't bought any of Terry's books, just because like I said, pay $4 or $5 for. I've already paid a lot for it. I don't want to pay more. That just kind of. Yeah, that's it. The Somna collection. I think that's 34 covers. There we go. That's what I pre-ordered. The Somna collection. I was like, you know what? I always say if they put out a comic book just of comic book covers, I'll get it. And I did. Oh, they're all gatefold covers. Wow. I can't wait to see that now. Yeah, but Terry, I always go. I always kind of annoyed when I see the Terry Moore hardcovers they're expensive. They're like $90, 70, but whatever they are. But they're less than I paid for the entire series. And always kind of like, I don't want to double dip on I really should wait. I don't want to wait for the hardcovers. I like reading it as a periodical.
Well, wasn't it one of your New Year's resolutions that you were going to stop being a mark and become a smart?
Nope. Nope. I like the periodicals, though sometimes I wonder. Oh, well, it's getting near our quitting time. And you don't have any final words for the week?
Try ROM. There's a ROM annual.
Let your astral form go.
There's a ROM annual which with a character which has the most inappropriate name ever seen in a Marvel comic.
What is it, Flick?
No. Glory Hole.
Ah, Glory Hole. Yeah, they did that on purpose, didn't they?
Yeah, it was Stephen
Most
Grant.
likely they did.
It was who?
Stephen Grant.
There we go.
It's a backup story in ROM Annual number 1 or 2.
So that's your assignment for the week, people. Read the backup story in ROM Annual. DP's doing some covers books. Oh, Catwoman, Power Girl. I'll have to check those out. I do like covers books.
I put I put a panel from that story in one of the Comics Out of Context groups on Facebook, and somebody said, "You don't put the whole hand through the glory hole because these powers. He has an energy effect that looks like his hands are coming through a hole." And somebody said, "You don't put the whole hand through the glory hole." And somebody else answered, "Well, it depends on what you're doing."
All right. Well, on that note, everybody have a good week out there. some
Bye.
Take
confetti
care,
for you.
everybody.
We'll catch you next time.
Don't choose strange glory.